Part of the 150 keywords for polity series. Now, indirect democracy, representative democracy. Now we are considering the types of democracies. Indirect democracy, when people express their will on public affairs through their elected representatives, the type of government is called indirect democracy. This kind of democracy, also known as representative democracy, is of two kinds, that is, the parliamentary and the presidential. Example: the prevailing system of democracy in India is the parliamentary, US is the presidential, and UK is again a parliamentary. Now, participative democracy is a form of a government in which citizens participate individually and directly in political decisions and policies that affect their lives, rather than through elected representatives. For example, in Switzerland, where major decisions are made by popular voting. Now, procedural democracy. Here, more emphasis is given to procedures like regular elections based on universal adult franchise, effective institutions, free and fair elections, legislative assemblies, and constitutional governments, good voter turnouts, etc. Example would be India. Substantive democracy. Here, emphasis is on values, normative aspects like socio-economic equality of citizens, tolerance for different opinions, ruler accountability, respect for rules, and a strong political engagement. Sadly, not in India. I mean, don't take my answer for it, is just kind of a joke. Moving on. Conciliational democracy is a type of democracy where power is shared democratically between different social groups. Such type of democracy is conducive, especially in a society where major divisions exist based on ethnic, religious, and linguistic lines. Republicanism is the ideology adopted by members of a republic when people choose their representatives, and these elected representatives decide the law. In republics, the country is considered a public matter, not the private concern or property of the rulers. Here, there is an absence of any privileged class. Hence, all public offices are open to every citizens without any discrimination. India became a republic after adopting the Constitution of India. Earlier, it was a dominion from 1947 to 1950. Now, monarchy. Monarchy is a form of government in which a person, that is a king or a queen, is the head of the state. Here, supreme authority is vested in the monarch, an individual ruler who functions as the head of the state and who achieves his or her position through heredity. Now, a constitutional monarch is a form of government in which a non-elected monarch functions as head of state within the limits of the constitution. Britain is an example of constitutional monarch. Oligarchy. Now, oligarchy is a form of government where a small group of people enjoys the complete governing power in the country. The theory called iron law of oligarchy holds that all political systems eventually evolve into oligarchies. Now, secularism can be understood as the separation of religious institutions from the state institutions and public sphere, where religion may participate but not dominate. It includes following two principles, that is, freedom to practice one's faith or belief without harming others, or to change it or not have one according to one's own conscience. Equality, so that our religious beliefs or lack of them doesn't put any of us at an advantage or disadvantage. Now, pluralism is a political philosophy holding that people of different beliefs, backgrounds, and lifestyles can coexist in the same society and participate equally in the political process. Sovereignty is the ultimate power of the state to exercise power over individuals, groups within the state independently, that is, without being subject to control of any other state or external power. Nation refers to a large group of people with strong bonds of identity, constituting an imagined community. This national identity is typically based on shared culture, religion, history, language, or ethnicity. Thus, nation is a group of people having a strong sense of unity and common consciousness. Now, state is a political entity but characterized by four essential elements, that is, a population, territory, government, and sovereignty. A state may comprise one or more nations, as did the Roman Empire and Austria Hungary, And a nation may be represented in or ruled by one or more, usually contiguous states, as in early modern principalities of Germany. Now, country can be an independent sovereign state or part of a state. For example, Japan is an independent country, whereas Wales is a country which is part of United Kingdoms, a multi-part sovereign state. Nation state. A state comprising or dominated by a single nation is often called a nation state. It is a place where the territorial boundaries of a state and cultural boundaries of a nation coincide. For example, modern France is considered as a nation state. State nations. It follows for the multiplicity of imagined communities to coexist beneath a single democratic roof. It recognizes that citizens can have multiple overlapping identities that need not contradict larger sense of national unity. Stateless, stateless nations. Now, these are cultural communities which failed or could not establish their own nation states. For example, the Kurds, which currently reside in Iraq, Iran, Syria, and Turkey. But they have not established an internationally recognized state based on their national identity. Quasi states. According to some experts, these are states which require the support of international community to survive or exist instead of surviving or existing on their own. Example would be Palestine. Nationality is an ethnic and racial concept denoting the status of an individual belonging to a nation, such as nationality is determined by place of birth, origin of a person, etc. Now, an American citizen can be a national of India if he or she was born in India. The nationality of a person cannot be changed. Now, nationalism is a feeling of superiority of one's nation and is often based on shared ethnicity, language, religion, culture, or social values. Patriotism is the feeling of love, pride, devotion, attachment to a homeland, as well as the feeling of attachment to other patriotic citizens. Unlike nationalism, patriotism doesn't believe in superiority of one's country over other countries. Religionism, regionalism. Now, regionalism is a political theory which favors particular subnational region over the greater area. It is a strong attachment of people to their own area. Jingoism is denotes excessive or irrational patriotism which leads to blind adherence to their own nation simply because it's one's own. Totalitarianism is a political ideology that subordinates all aspects of its citizens' lives to the authority of the state with the intention of seeking total power through politicization of every aspect of social and personal existence. Example would be North Korea. Ultranationalism is an extreme and more aggressive form of nationalism. It has negative connotation as it can result in hatred towards other nations and their citizens. Post-nationalism is an ideology that is critique of nationalism and tilted more towards internationalism. Post-nationalism is a process or trend where importance of nation states and national identities is reduced relative to cross nations or supranational and global entities as well as local entities. Civic nationalism is a theory or an ideology which is built around shared citizenship in liberal democratic state. It believes in an inclusive form of nationalism that adheres to traditional liberal values of freedom, tolerance, equality, and individual rights. Eco-nationalism is an ideology where state and her people appropriate environment and environmental policies as form of national pride and believes that the state and its citizens have special duty to protect environmental resources of their country. Cosmopolitanism is an idea that all human beings, regardless of their political affiliation, are citizens of a single community. It believes that one's identity is shared by multiple cultures of the world. It also believes that being the member of global community has responsibilities towards other members of the world community. Vasundhaiva Kutumbakam. Metropolitan city, as per Census Commission of India, um, As per Census Commission of India, metropolitan city is a city having a population of more than 4 million. As per Article 243p of Indian Constitution, metropolitan area means an area having a population of 10 lakh or more, comprised in one or more districts and consisting of two or more municipalities or panchayats or other contiguous areas, specified by governor by public notification to be a metropolitan area for the purposes of Part 9A. Now, militarism is a belief that a country should build and use military forces to gain power, expand territorially, or achieve its goal. Fascism is an ideology that emphasizes extreme nationalism, militarism, and supremacy of both the nation and single powerful leader over the individual citizen. It emerged during First World War in Italy and later on spread to other European nations. Nazism share most of its characteristics of fascism. However, it was far more extreme both in its idea and its practice. It is the practice associated with Adolf Hitler and the Nazi party in Nazi Germany. Now, differences between fascism and Nazism. Fascism practiced in Italy under a regime of Benito Mussolini. Nazism was practiced in Germany under the rule of Adolf Hitler. Fascism has both the elements of socialism as well as capitalism, and it believed in the corporatizing all aspects of society. Nazism is a form of fascism which disdained liberal democracy and the parliamentary system while incorporating intense emotion of anti Semitism and scientific racism into its creed. Fascism believed in the class based social order. Now, state as per fascism was a tool to further nationalism. Nazism was against the class based social order as it believed that class is hindrance to racial unification and hence sought to eradicate it. For Nazism, state was just an instrument to maintain racial superiority. That'll be it for this video. We'll cover the rest in the next one in part 3.